So we discussed Thomson's model and we were able to discuss Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment, right? So what are the drawbacks in Thomson's model? So Rutherford has performed an experiment, and what are the results of that experiment? That are stunning. So results of that experiment are Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment. So what is this experiment? How we can construct the apparatus or a particular device? Okay, all those things we look now. Fine. So initially in Rutherford's experiment, what we have is we have a source. Yesterday we have given an idea, seen an idea. So we have a source. So that source will be like this. Okay, this is our source. Lead plate is made of lead plate. This is our screen. Look very carefully. It was our screen. Screen we can made of. Screen can be made by ZNS, zinc sulfide. As we have discussed in the cathode ray experiment, the screen can be made of many materials. Out of many materials, we preferably use ZNS, zinc sulfide. Why? Because it is majorly, so you can consider the cost point of view. It is cheap in cost, and considering all the economic and chemical effects, we'll choose our screen. So this is our source of alpha particles. Source of alpha particles. So what are alpha particles? So if you have a helium atom, helium-24, so let us not write 2 and 4 now itself. Let us say helium atom. If it loses 2 electrons, this is a helium atom. When helium atom loses 2 electrons, it gives positively charged helium ion, which is known as alpha particle. So alpha particles are positive in charge, and loss of 2 electrons. These are 2 electrons. 2 electrons. So how we can get positive charge? By loss of electrons. By loss of electrons. So initially we have a source of alpha particles. Our source can be made of any radioactive element. Why? Because radioactive elements undergo different reactions, like nuclear reactions. They will undergo disintegrations. We specifically say disintegration. That is, they lose alpha particles, they'll get neutrons. All such reactions will occur with radioactive elements because they are highly unstable, first of all. Okay. So normally many things can be used, like polonium. plutonium, and many other radioactive materials can be used. Again, choosing radioactive material, that is our goal, and we will choose the radioactive material considering again the economic and chemical effects. Okay, so our source, whatever the source we have, that is made of some radioactive element, there certain reactions occur, so which will give alpha particles. These are alpha particles, He2 plus. So alpha particles are positively charged ions, positively charged ion. Now we are treating that alpha particles through a metal. Our source will generate alpha particle. Whatever the alpha particle generated, it has velocity. It may move in different directions. Yes or no? Like if I have a particle at origin, it can move in x-axis, along y-axis, along z-axis, or along any line, along xy line, or y is equal to minus x line, any line. It can move in many directions. So from the source we are generating alpha particles. The formed alpha particles do not have a specific direction of velocity. Right on this point. Yes, any questions? Yes, we are going to discuss that, Vagdevi. Lead plate, everything we are going to discuss it. Okay, so the formed alpha particle, positively charged ions. Actually, that was the question I have asked you yesterday, right? So, did you search for that, Vagdevi? Amog, yesterday's question was, so Sampath says lead absorbs radiation. So it's not clear. Okay, we'll make it clear. Okay. So from the source, we'll generate alpha particles, that is positively charged ions. Those ions, whenever I remove one electron from the metal, that electron will have velocity. Initially, it is stick to the metal. Initially, any electron or any ion is stick to the atom or any metal, whatever it is there. So if you take aluminium metal, it has many electrons. Those electrons are stick to the aluminium. Whenever you give energy and remove that electron, not only electron, whenever you give energy to remove an ion, whenever you're giving energy and remove the ion which is removed from that will have more velocity. So you can compare it like this, like you are restricted to sit in your class, you will be stable at your position. Whenever I give a break, you can move randomly in different directions according to your wish. So no, the same thing, you can compare it with the electron. Whenever, so for your movement, I can just give you a break, but for the movement of electron, I need to give energy. So if I give energy to a particular metal, the metal has bound electron. That electron which is bound to the metal can come out of that surface. Can come out of the surface. Are you understanding this or not? First understand this. Whenever some positive ion, so whatever the alpha particle generated, that alpha particle which when comes out of the system, it will have high velocity. It is initially bound to this atom. It is initially bound to this atom. So when it comes out, it will have velocity. Yes or no? Yes or no? Is that clear? First point. Amog, very good. So any alpha particle, whenever we say there is a source and that source generate alpha particle, the alpha particle generated will come out with velocity. That should be clear to you. So whenever it's velocity, whenever the alpha particle has velocity, so here I have alpha particle, here I have here is the source. The source is giving out alpha particle. The source is giving out some particle. It has velocity in different direction. I am not able to decide the direction. We cannot decide the direction of alpha particle which is coming out of the reaction. We cannot restrict that particle. Yes or no? It can move in any direction. Like I cannot restrict you when I have given a break to you. So you can go to anywhere, whatever you want. You can go anywhere. That's according to your wish. The same way, So you follow according to your wish. The alpha particle moves according to its energy. So in which direction it has velocity, in that direction it will move. We cannot restrict the direction. So this alpha particle generated right on this point. This alpha particle generated at the source. So I am raising this. So the experiment name must be clear. Rutherford's alpha scattering experiment. Rutherford's alpha scattering experiment. So right on this point, first point, alpha particle generated from source will have velocity, will have high velocity in specific direction. We don't know that. In specific direction. That direction depends on the reaction. That direction depends on the reaction. But what do we want? Our goal is straightforward. We want to pass the alpha particles through this gold foil. This is our gold foil. Our goal is simple. Okay, I want to pass this alpha particle through this gold foil. That is our goal. For that, what we are going to do? So we cannot restrict the direction of velocity of the alpha particle generated. We cannot decide that. But if we want to make the alpha particle to travel exactly through the gold foil, if you want to make the alpha particle generated travel exactly through the gold foil. So listen carefully. If we generate alpha particle, that doesn't mean the alpha particle has to pass through this coil. Yes or no? If I give a break to you, it doesn't mean you have to compulsory go out of the classroom. You may sit in the classroom itself. That is your wish. Yes or no? The same way, if the alpha particle is generated, that does not mean the alpha particle has to passing through this gold foil. When we can pass this alpha particle through the gold foil? When I give the alpha particle its velocity in this direction. Exactly. If I direct alpha particle through the gold foil, then we can say alpha particles are passing through the gold foil. So our goal is to direct alpha particles through the gold foil. How we can do that? So if we can construct our source in such a way, so listen very carefully. So write down all these things first of all. Write down all this. Write down all that. Draw that figure. Write down these things. So then we can go to further explanation. Note it down first. So our goal is simple. Noted Amok, what about others? Sorry. Done, Sampath, good. So take a minute and everyone should write your notes. You should be updated with your notes. Only then you can have a quick reference. Probably everyone done? Okay, fine. See here, this is our source. We can use this part. This is our source. Alpha particle is generated. This alpha particle, whatever the alpha particle generated, it have velocity in the. It may have velocity in this direction. It may have velocity in this direction. It may have velocity in this direction. So all are possible. We are like checking the possibilities. The alpha particle may have velocity in different directions. The direction of alpha particle depends on the reaction from which it has come out. Yes or no? It may come out in different possible ways. So the velocity may be in different directions. That is known to us. So, but what is our goal? We want to pass those alpha particles through gold foil. We want to pass those alpha particles through a gold foil. For that, what we are using is, we are using a material. So we are placing our source we are placing our source in a material which is made of lead. We are placing our source in a material. Write down all these things. We want to project those alpha particles through the gold foil, through the gold foil. So we want to restrict the direction of alpha particle. For that we are placing our source. We are placing our source. Source is radioactive material, which is radioactive. Source is a radioactive material. We are placing our source in a material made out of lead. Made out of lead. Reason, because when compared to many other metals, lead is cheap, and the density of lead is high. Lead which has high density. So we don't need the values. You don't worry with the value of density. You don't need that. So why we are considering lead? Because lead has high density. So why we require a material of high density means, so see here the alpha particle, we want to move this alpha particle in this direction, right? We want to move this alpha particle to exactly pass through this gold foil and then check what happens. Because our screen after the gold coil, whatever our screen is there, you look at the figure. So in that figure, you have a screen after the gold foil. So you want to pass this alpha particle through the gold foil and check the position of alpha particle on the screen. So for that, you need to pass this alpha particle through the gold foil. But initially, if the velocity of alpha particle in this direction, so this is our lead, and from this source we have generated alpha particle, and its velocity is in this direction. Its velocity is in this direction. If lead does not have high density, what happens? This alpha particle will penetrate through the lead. Yes or no? I have a ball in my hand. I am throwing my ball to the wall. Ball comes back. Why? Because the wall what we have, it is of strong and it has good density. Okay, if I have a ball and throw the water, it cannot come back with that velocity. It is not rigid. Water is not rigid. Cannot come back simply. It will penetrate. The ball moves into the water. Yes or no? It will go to some depth. Is that true? So same thing, if lead does not have that density, it is not that strong, so the alpha particle will penetrate through the lead. We can write the penetration like this. So after hitting the wall, so it will penetrate like this. We want to stop this penetration. We want to stop that penetration of alpha particle. So that means we should take a material which is of high velocity, which is of high density, sorry, not velocity. So we have a material, if the alpha particle generated can penetrate through that material, write down this, if the alpha particle generated by source, whatever the source you are taking, it may be plutonium, polonium, that is our wish. Based on the availability, based on the cost, we'll check our radioactive source. So from that source, we'll generate alpha particle. So have questions? Yes, you just wait. Vagdevi, your question is simple. So what's the question of Vagdevi is, the material whatever we have taken, that material is of high density. It should have high density. What's our question is there any material which is more dense than lead? If there is any material which is more dense than lead, we can take that material. So listen, Vagdevi, not only the density, many things matter. If this material, write on this, if the alpha particle generated by the source, if the alpha particle generated by the source, if the alpha particle generated by the source penetrates through the material, then our material is useless. Second, if alpha particle reacts with the material, so whatever the alpha particle we have, if that reacts with the material, whatever the material we have, it will react with the alpha particle. It will end up with some change, chemical change. So if alpha particle reacts with material, then again it's not useful. And if the material is of high cost, economic activity, if the material is high cost, we cannot afford it, then also we should replace that material. We should choose materials of low cost So considering all these factors and the penetration power of through this material should be low. So anything which is coming and hitting that material should not penetrate to it, and the material should not react with alpha particle, and the material should be of low cost. Considering all these factors, scientists come to lead. That does not mean lead is the most dense material in the world. No, there are many other things which are even more dense than lead, but our requirements are fully satisfied by lead. That is why we choose lead. Is that clear? Is that clear, Vagdevi? Yes, it is cheap. Everything you should consider, every aspect. When you are performing the experiment, you should consider every aspect. Okay, considering all these economic aspects, considering the penetrating power to that material, considering the reactivity of that material. So lead is the best available thing for us. Lead is considering all this, considering all these aspects, lead is the most suitable one. Is the most suitable. Okay, write down this. Write down all these things. Write down all these things. So Sampath Sam again has a question. So why only gold foil? No need. You can change it. You can change the gold foil to platinum. So that is the next step. We'll decide that. No, don't worry. So we can change the gold foil to platinum foil, anything. Okay. So listen here. Our first target is if the alpha particle is generated and has velocity in this direction. If the alpha particle is generated and has velocity in this direction, if it is lead, if our material is lead, the alpha particle cannot penetrate, so it will reflect back. Yes or no? Throwing ball to a wall at a certain angle. You think of this. You have a ball. You have the ball. You throw the ball to the wall at a certain angle. it will deflect with some other angle, yes or no? So here we have alpha particle generated, its velocity is in this direction. We have source, we have our source kept in a material like this. So it will hit it. Again, after hitting this, it will move in this direction. Again, after hitting it, again it will move in this direction. So if you decrease this width, whatever the width you have, if I decrease that, now what I'll do is, I'll place the source in a tiniest hole like this. If you check this, the velocity is in the upward direction. Again hits, the velocity comes lower, upward, lower. So zigzag motion, upward, down, upward, down, upward, down. Yes or no? So when the hitting process is continuous, after the alpha particle reaches the end, it will have straight velocity. So when you decrease the thickness in which you can keep the source, in that way you can have alpha particle can move only through this particular hole in this velocity. So you are actually restricting other directions. You are restricting other directions. So you are directing alpha particles through this straight line. Yes or no? The other directions are restricted. We have made that with a very dense wall made of lead. So the alpha particle cannot move in that direction. So it has to come back again in the same direction. Like you want to go out of the room, I am hitting you, standing at the door. So you will go and sit at your place. Yes or no? Same scenario. Same scenario. So in this way, so first target is done. So the alpha particles are directed to the gold foil. That is the first target that we can made by making the source, by covering the source with a high dense material like lead, which is not reactive to the alpha particle, and the direction of velocity of alpha particle can be made in a single direction. It can hit the foil. So we can, so by this we can decide the direction of, we can control, exactly speaking, we can actually control the direction of alpha particles. So alpha particles direction is controlled. Write down this, take a minute, everyone. So done, Amog, Rakshita, Vagdevi, others also, Bharat, Amulya, you should also respond. Animesh, Navneet, Shashank, all of you should respond. Amulya, done? Okay. So now one target is achieved. That is the direction of alpha particles we were able to decide. Now what is our next target? So what is the goal of Rutherford? What he want to check? So we have discovered electrons, we have discovered protons. What is his goal now? How they are placed inside an atom? How they are placed inside an atom? Yes or no? That was his goal. You can keep a figure at the top right. So the alpha particles are moved in a specified direction. So from the source, we have made the alpha particles to move in a specific direction. Yes or no? So Amok says something. Yes, Amok. Yes, that's what. Whether, so it's not about exactly whether we have positive sphere or not. That is not the exact goal of Rutherford. Rutherford's goal is how protons and electrons are arranged inside an atom. You want to check that. Okay. So the positive sphere, whatever you're saying, that is up to Thomson. That Thomson's approach is positive sphere and watermelon model. Okay. Rutherford's goal is different. So everyone want to check how atom is, how electrons and protons are present inside an atom. That's their target. So Rutherford has done an experiment. He has defined such things. The apparatus is like that. He generated a source of alpha particles. Now what he want to do is, he want to pass these alpha particles through a gold foil. Through a gold foil. So reason, what is the reason? So whenever I say any foil, so it may be gold foil or platinum foil, it should be very thick. Okay, now our goal is, now alpha particles are directed towards very thin gold or platinum foil. So why they are trying to do that? Because if you observe again, alpha particles are positive in charge. Alpha particles are positive in charge. Whatever the foil we have, gold foil or platinum foil, it must be made of some atoms. Gold foil should be made of gold atoms. Platinum should be made of platinum atoms. Yes or no? Anything we take, it should be made of its atoms. It should be made of its atom. So the alpha particle, so what we are trying to do is, we are trying to pass this positively charged. So for this, we are actually, we are trying to pass positively charged alpha particles through gold or platinum atoms. Atoms again have protons and electrons. Yes or no? So we are passing the positively charged alpha particle towards an atom which has both positive charge and negative charge. Atom is there. Here is an atom. This duster is an atom. It is made of protons and electrons. That is both positive and negative. And I am incidenting alpha particles which are positive in charge. Now you can observe, if atom is made of more positive ions, if positive ions are present on the sides of an atom, then the positive repulsion will experience. Yes or no? If we have a spherical ball and atoms are on the surface and I am incidenting alpha particles, again alpha particles are positive. I am inserting positively charged particles into a positively charged atom. So positive will have repulsions. So they will not pass, this alpha particles will not pass through that gold foil. That means the screen whatever we have, that screen will not glow. Yes or no? Are you getting the idea? If the gold foil atom, that is, if the gold atom has protons on the surface, if we think like that, if we think atom has protons across all its surface, when complete surface is positively charged, if we think, because they don't know how the protons and electrons are inside the atom, if we think the gold foil is like that, atom is like that, then the positively charged alpha particle will never pass through this foil and the screen will never glow. If the screen glows, the arrangement of protons is not like this. The arrangement of protons is not like this. What you need to do is, so here the gold foil, whatever you're considering, that should be very thin. Here I have written. So very thin. Why? Why? Because only then alpha particles can penetrate. Okay, you write the statement. So the initial source is made of a material which is of high density, that is the alpha particles. We do not want to penetrate through that material, but the gold foil or platinum foil, whatever you choose, through that foil the alpha particle should penetrate, and then we need to analyze the picture of atom. Are you getting this or not? The initial source we made that of lead so that the alpha particle will not penetrate to that material. After that, we made it to pass through a foil, very thin foil especially. Why? Because if it is only thin, then only the alpha particle can penetrate. That means we are making the positively charged alpha particle pass through the atom. We are making the positively charged alpha particle pass through an atom. When it will pass, when it is very thin layer, then only it can pass. Yes or no? Pass through that gold atom and then check what is the position of alpha particle, and then check what is the position. That is, if it passes through the gold foil and hits directly here, no deflection. If it passes and hits somewhere here, somewhat deflection, we will talk of deflection. Okay, any questions? So Vagdevi. So Vagdevi, what's the question? Like charges? No doubt, right? Okay, clear. So are you understanding the scientist approach? The scientists want to make the positively charged alpha particles through the atom. So if he wants to penetrate that, the gold foil should be thin. That's why we did towards a thin foil. Sampath, it may be gold or platinum. That again depends on our interest. Okay? You don't worry about that. Okay, write down these things. So we are trying to pass positively charged alpha particles through gold or platinum atom which has protons and electrons. Okay, we done that. So now the result section is very interesting. Write down these results. Results are observations. I think you know it. After passing through a thin gold foil, like there are many alpha particles, we are able to pass through that gold foil. Okay. After passing through thin gold foil, most of the alpha particles are undeflected. What do you mean by that? So we have an atom, we are incidenting positively charged alpha particles, and many alpha particles pass through this atom without deflection. Many. Okay, that means it gives us an idea. If we have a spherical ball, so is my voice and video clear or not? Audio and video clear or not? Is it clear? Is it clear? Shashank, clear? Okay. So wait a minute. Pravalika, clear, right? So wait a minute. So nothing to worry. We actually monitor how the class is going on right here. So here my internet is not. Yes, it's fine now. Okay. Clear, right? So the positively charged particles, most of the positively charged particles go and hit the screen undeflected. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? That means most of the atom is empty. So you all know this, I think. Most of the atom is empty. You know that? Yes or no? But how we can come to a conclusion that most of the atom is empty? How we can conclude that? How we can conclude that most of the atom is empty? Because the alpha particles which are positive in charge, if they get deflected, what do you mean by that? Deflection occurs when we have positive and positive charges, only then they will experience repulsion or any deflection. Yes or no? I think you have done many experiments with magnets. You want to like poles, you want to add the like poles, which is never occur. That is, nature is not made like that. So positive repulsion is not experienced by many alpha particles. Many alpha particles pass through that atom without any deflection. That means most of the atom is empty. Very few alpha particles experienced deflection. That means alpha, that means positively charged particles, that is protons. Protons are concentrated in a tiny volume. So write down all these things. What do you mean by that? Very few alpha particles experience deflection means protons are there, right? So whatever the positively charged particles inside an atom, those are protons. So they are present in a very tiny volume at the center. So then only these alpha particles, when you are trying to move towards the center, they will experience repulsion and hit this point. Alpha particle coming towards the center experience repulsion and hit this point. Okay, write down this. So the Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment was very interesting. To understand that very clearly. Done, Vagdevi. Others, what about others? Completed, Rakshita, good. Very good. Paravalika, done. Okay, fine. So very few alpha particles experience deflection. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Protons are concentrated in a tiny volume. Tiny volume. Yes or no? So this is what Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment is. So results. So from Rutherford's and out of, you can say the third observation, one alpha particle out of say 20,000, out of 20,000 alpha particles, only one particle retraced its path. Retrace its path. What do you mean by this? So the alpha particle is exactly approaching the nucleus, that is a proton. So if the alpha particle is exactly approaching the straight direction, so it will experience repulsion, right? It is also positive. It is also positive. So it will have a repulsion and it will never hit the screen. This is our screen, right? This is our screen. It will never hit the screen and retraces its path. Exact 180 degree. That means retrace its path. That means 180 degree deflection occurs. Deflection occurs. So from all these things, from his observations, two things are very clear. Observations. Two things are very clear. What are those? What are those? Most of the atom is empty. Most of the atom is empty. So approximately 99.9% is empty. 99.99% is empty. Okay. And positively charged protons, positively charged subatomic particles, positively charged subatomic particles are concentrated at, concentrated means they are present at, concentrated center of the atom. These are the two main observations from Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiments. So from his observations, we have the results. From this, we can simply say Thomson's model is incorrect. Yes or no? From his experiments, what he observed, most of the atom is empty. Why? Because most of the alpha particles are not deflected. They do not experience any deflection. That is, most of the atom is empty. But what Thomson's model say? Thomson's model say that positively charged sphere is present inside an atom. If there is a positively charged sphere, then alpha particle should experience repulsion and should have a deflection. That is not present. So we can simply say, so from Rutherford's experiment, we can simply say Thomson's model is incorrect. We can simply say Thomson's model is incorrect. Is that clear or not? Got it? So up to now we only talked of protons and electrons. So all this information from, so Chella, Navneet and good. So all this information we get only from protons and electrons. Now after some like Rutherford done his experiment and he explained his model. After his explanation, some 20 years later, neutron was discovered. Right on this, discovery of neutron. Discovery of neutron. So after this, I'll explain Rutherford's model. So this is Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment. In this experiment, he found only two things, which is atom is empty, mostly empty, and positively charged protons are present at the center. After that, discovery of neutron occurred. Sampath asked limitations of Rutherford model. So we didn't discuss limitations of Rutherford model, Sampath. We explained alpha ray experiment, that's it. So Rutherford's model is yet to come. We need to discuss Rutherford model. So you are asking the limitations. Limitations will be discussed only after discussing the model. First you should say Thomson's model. This is the limitation of Thomson's model because it is not all applicable, because these experiments we are seeing. Whatever discussed up to now, Rutherford's experiment, that is Rutherford's experiment of finding these two statements, that is, you can completely say Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment that decides the position of protons, that's it. It is not his model. His model we need to present after the discovery of neutrons. Fine, Sampath? We need to present Rutherford's model after the discovery of neutrons, and then he arranged all protons, neutrons and electrons. Then Rutherford arranged all these three. Okay, so first we should write the discovery of neutron, and then we'll discuss applying the same concept. So along with electrons and protons, we'll include neutrons, that's it. Along with electrons and protons, we'll include neutrons, and then using his results, we'll frame the Rutherford's atomic model. After framing that model only, we will discuss his limitations. Clear? So discovery of neutron. So what actually found is, so what is the thought of scientist is, atom consists only of electrons and protons. If I have 10 students in my class, and I know the total weight of the class, so neglecting all the benches, books, everything, only weight of the class. That is, I know the total sum of you students. So I know the total weight of 10 students, I know that value, and I am saying only few students are present inside the class. Like I am actually counting only 8 students. So if I am counting only the weight of 8 students, and I know the total weight, if you compare these two, you should obviously know I left 2 more students. Yes or no? When you compare the total weight of the students, total mass of 10 students with your mass, that is which included only 8 students, you will obviously know that I missed something. Yes or no? Is that true or not? But Amok, is it true? When you compare two masses, you know the total mass of 10 students you know, but you are only counting 8 students mass, and you are comparing those two masses, then you will obviously know you missed something. So same thing we did here. So the total mass of is known. Okay, total mass of atom is known to scientists, and what they thought, atom consists of only protons and electrons. So sum of masses of all protons and electrons is calculated. Mass of electron, how we can calculate? Mass of proton, how we can calculate? We have seen that, yes or no? By applying electric and magnetic fields, we have calculated that, and we have seen those values. So but when scientists started comparing these two, they started comparing total mass with the mass of all the protons and electrons present inside an atom. Mass of all the protons and electrons present inside an atom, they should be same. By scientist perspective, they should be same, but what they observed is a lot of difference. So when they compare, so I'm erasing this top part. So when they compared the mass of atom when scientists compared the total mass of atom with sum of masses of all protons and electrons, they found they are not matching. They found those masses mismatched. So these two quantities mismatched. So that is where scientists started searching for another particle. So that is where scientists started searching for another particle, the third particle, which is new, which must be neutral. Yes or no? Atom as a whole is neutral. Protons are positive, electrons are negative. These two balance the neutrality. But the third particle, so this gives us an idea. Sorry, that atom should have another particle. So this gives us an idea that atom should have another particle which should be neutral. Yes or no? If it is not neutral, then the atom as a whole would not be neutral. So this should be neutral. Fine. So write down all these things. Discovery of neutron. From the discovery of neutron, you write down all this. Done. So I have any questions? Yes, very good song. Who's that? That is Amok. Very good, Amok. So Amok's question is, so I want to discuss that. That was my next thing. So in the first class, if you remember, we told you, what you told? So there are almost many subatomic particles which are present inside an atom, not only these three, not only this proton, electron and neutron, there are many other subatomic particles. You remember that or not? Yes or no? So Amok's question is very nice. His question is, if the mass of proton, electron and neutron can be balanced with the total mass of atom, if the mass of electron, proton and neutron can be balanced with the total mass of the atom, then what is the mass of those which are another subatomic particles? So there are some other particles, right? So what is their mass? Then why we are not including that mass? Amok, the answer is, so those subatomic particles are not fundamental. Those subatomic particles, so the proton what we are discussing, that can be again divisible, like quarks. You say quark, Q-U-A-R-K, quark. So this is out of your 12th standard. 12th standard, no one discuss about those quarks. So but as you have asked, I am saying, so whatever the other particles, why I am not including that mass means, those are already included in the mass of proton. Proton can be subdivided again. Okay. There are some other positively charged protons. So those can be, those mass is already included in the mass of proton. That mass is already included. So the mass of these three must be is equals to mass of the atom. And there are some other particles which are massless. They are only rays. Okay. So the mass balance will be done here. Is that fine, Amok? Understood, right? So whatever the alpha, whatever the proton we are saying, so again that is divided and some of the particles are named like quark, positive quark, negative quark, like that. So that is not required for you, not at all in your 12th standard at all. 11th and 12th, no one will ask about you. But if, as you have asked the question, so those masses of some of the particles are already included in the mass of protons and neutrons. Fine? Very good. I appreciate you, Amok. Okay. So by considering all this, so Chadwick in 1930s in 1930s bombarded beryllium atom with helium and found a particle which is neutral and has some mass approximately equal to mass of proton. So mass of neutron and mass of proton are approximate. Okay, what he does is, so he has taken beryllium nucleus and instead with helium. So what he'll get? So what are the signs for beryllium 9, 2 helium 4, all those things I'll discuss. No, you don't need to worry at all. That is our neutron. N01 is our neutron. Is that fine? So by bombarding means hitting, colliding two atom nuclei like beryllium and helium, he found carbon C612, that is 4 plus 2 6 matches here, 9 plus 4 13 should be matched. 12 is carbon and 1 is for neutron. Don't worry with this 9424. All those are atomic numbers and mass numbers. That will be discussed after Rutherford's model. But as we encounter that, we are just explaining. Okay. So by bombarded means collided beryllium atom with helium atom and found a particle which is neutral. So this neutron is neutral in nature, is not positive, is not negative. Okay, but it has a mass equal to mass of proton. It has a mass which is equal to mass of proton. What is the mass of proton? mass of proton, whatever you have seen yesterday, what is that? 1.672. Mass of proton is 1.672 into 10 power minus 27 kg, right? So mass of neutron is slightly higher, 1.674 into 10 power minus 27 kg, and its mass is calculated by other scientific ways which are not required to you at your 12th standard. So whenever it is neutron, whenever it is neutral, it will not react with electric and magnetic field. Yes or no? So the procedure what we have used, for the calculation of mass of proton and mass of electron, how we have calculated that? So we applied electric and magnetic fields perpendicular to each other and perpendicular to the motion of electron and proton, and then checked the E by M values, charge to mass ratio. Charge is calculated separately, charge to mass ratio is calculated separately, and then mass is calculated by charge by mass. Yes or no? We substituted there. But here when you see neutron, it is neutral. When it is neutral, it will not react with electric and magnetic fields first of all. If it reacts with electric and magnetic fields, then we can apply that procedure. It will not react with electric and magnetic field, so we cannot follow that procedure, and the mass of neutron is determined separately by other procedures which are not at all required for you in your 12th standard. Fine. So you can, if you apply some common sense, its mass of neutron is calculated like this. Total mass, you know, mass of protons and electrons, you know. So mass of 10 students, you know, mass of 8 students you calculated. What is the mass of 2 students? So total mass of 10 students minus mass of 8 students. Like that, you can calculate mass of neutrons. So you should know initially how many neutrons are present. So mass of neutrons is equals to total mass minus mass of all protons minus mass of all electrons will be mass of all neutrons. You can write like this, right? Sorry. Okay, you can write like that or not? So total mass, I'm erasing this. So mass of all neutrons is equals to total mass of atom minus mass of all protons minus mass of all electrons, But again, if you look at it again, you can calculate the mass of neutrons like this, no doubt in that. But if you look at this formula again, total mass of atom, how you will know that? Total mass of atom as a whole is also neutral, right? Atom as a whole, it is also neutral. Its size is also very less. So you require some other method to at least calculate the mass of atom. Then you can apply this formula. So mass of atom, you cannot calculate the mass of atom by those procedures. What? By applying electric and magnetic fields, because atom as a whole is neutral again. Okay, that is why we define mass number, atomic number. So those numbers, what are those numbers? We will discuss after Rutherford's model. Is the Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment And discovery of neutron, clear or not? Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment. Yes, Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment and discovery of neutron. Discovery of neutron is done in 1930s, 1932 or something. Those years we don't need actually, but we are if you follow the timeline, then it would be interesting. Fine. So all these things clear or not? Clear for everyone? Tomorrow we are going to start with the Rutherford's model of an atom. We only have 2 to 3 minutes. I don't want to start that Rutherford's model now. Okay, if we start the Rutherford's model, it should be done in one complete lecture. Complete arrangement of electrons, protons, neutrons, and what are its drawbacks, limitations, everything should be done. Clear, Rakshita, Vagdevi, Amol. What about others? Navneethan, good. Shashank, good. Okay, so be prepared with the Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment. That is your homework for today. Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment and discovery of neutron. Discovery of neutron, just the mass comparisons. That is for your homework for today. So you revise it. So tomorrow we are going to start with Rutherford's model. So Thomson's model is done, and that is completely wrong. So we are going to discuss Rutherford's model, more advanced model. In that model, we are going to introduce those results. What are results? Most of the atom is empty. Very small part is present at the center, which is called as nucleus. And of course, these neutrons are present inside the nucleus. That thing we'll discuss in Rutherford's model of an atom. It is, people say Rutherford's model is somewhat similar to solar system model. So what are the difficulties we are going to face? We'll look at that tomorrow. So no doubts for now. If you have any doubts, you ask for doubts. No doubts means yes. Amog asked a question. Very good, Amog. So how do they know neutrons are present inside? How do they know neutrons are present inside the nucleus? That is again a good question. That is given by Rutherford. Thomson says positive sphere is occupied completely inside an atom and electrons are like seeds. How do they know? How do Thomson know it? It is his model, it is his approach. Okay. So similarly, Rutherford's approach was protons and neutrons are inside, are present at the center. That was Rutherford's approach, and whatever the results we encounter, so total mass of atom, so there is some other result which deals with the total mass of atom comes majorly from the center of the atom, that is nucleus. Okay, from that he has some estimation. So that is his model. Fine. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you all.